Hello everybody, it's me, Riffraff Hornhelm, and I'm back again with another presentation from the Dwarven Vault, and today we have a fail tale. So what subject is a fail to me today? It's not really the subject itself that's a fail. It's more what goes on around it. Well, what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about resting or sleeping or those times when you set aside your active adventuring for um, sleep and food and rest and all that kind of good stuff. Well, how could that be a fail? Well, it's not a fail. It's what you do with it is often a fail. And that's generally not doing very much. So let's take a second and look at how you may dissect things. Okay, not everybody does everything the same way, but typically I look at a minimum of 3 2-hour watches overnight or for a rest period, at least 6 hours, 8 hours ideally. Sometimes I'll insist on 8 hours depending on how beat up the party is, if they want to get full benefits of gaining back a hit point and recovering spells and all that kind of good stuff. Bodily rest. And that's important. I mean, really important. Especially if you're playing earlier versions of D&D and you're a lower level character. You need that rest. You really do. And one of the problems that we often have with the game, and it's something that we as DMs are probably as guilty of as anybody else, is making sure that we remind our characters of the things they need to do when they're resting. And also remind them that interrupted rest does not mean hit points recovered or spells recovered. All of that goes by the wayside if it's interrupted. Now, some players, and I have a great example of that in my group, are very good at planning when they go to their rest period. They're working on what they want to do during that time that they're sleeping. Actually, I have several characters, I think, that do a very good job of that. And that's really important because it's time that often gets wasted. Not really intentional. You're got a head full of all the adventuring that just happened. You're looking forward to the downtime. You may look at a few simple things, weapon or armor repair, making sure that you have a good, nutritious meal. You're recovering your wounds. You're going to have your priest and maybe your barbarian and so forth running through and binding people's wounds and giving them healing and all that kind of good stuff. That takes some time. And then, of course, you actually have the rest period. Well, you have to stagger the resting so that everybody gets at least 6 hours. Okay, that usually means that 6 hours is very hard. One person's not going to end up with full rest unless you do 8 hours. And that's the only way to give the group, generally, enough time to fully recover. Okay, well, that's not that big a deal. I mean, we all do that all the time. Well, are you making sure to take advantage of your time? If you're a magic user, it may not be just about studying your spells. Maybe it's about casting a spell. Maybe you're using clairvoyance or clairaudience or something to make determinations of some of the things that are coming up ahead. Maybe you are pre-making some special traps or surprises if you're a thief and you know you're going underground. But the easiest thing to do, and it's what most of us have a tendency to do, is to say, yeah, I go to sleep, I make the watch checks, nobody woke up because nothing happened during the watches. And unless your players interject and say, oh, wait a minute, I'm doing this with my guy during his rest period, you just carry on into the next day. It cuts off a very vital part of the time you have to prep and prepare, to analyze treasure that you found, to think about any puzzles or writings or clues that you found along the way by not making sure that you do stand up to the DM and say, "Oh, wait a minute, I'm doing this first." Good. So it should be. Um, don't let the opportunity pass you by. Think about it. So, and what happens during a watch where you guys get interrupted? Well, technically, you don't get your hit points back. Anything that is rest triggered, you didn't have sufficient time, consecutive time in rest, for it to work. So it didn't happen. You didn't get your spells back. Didn't learn any new ones. Um, you didn't get any hit points back. Yes, if you have dressings and stuff on it overnight, as a DM, I'd probably say, yeah, unless you were running around. If you were running around, then no, even if you had stuff bound up, you got no additional bonuses from that either. It's something where, they say that a good sleep is really important. In D&D, it's even more so. If you're going to play Dungeons and Dragons, you have to make sure that you get a balance of both. If your DM allows you to skate on that part of it, it may make sense. Remember, the DM is the one who always has to make the call on this, and sometimes it is an impediment to the game to get bogged down into overnight watch activities. I've seen that happen too. So it's something that, as a DM, make sure the opportunity is there, but also make sure it doesn't get overused. I trust that all makes sense, right? So for a failure, yeah, it's if you don't use your time properly during your rest sequences, whatever they may be. Oh, and one side note on that. No, you can't get up, have one hell of a big battle in the morning for 3 hours, and then go to sleep again. That's not going to work. Okay, you're going to have to do stuff in between. You'll have to mope around and be hurt and unhappy. Sorry. At least in my dungeon. So, that, my friends, is the discussion about handling rest and sleeping and overnight type stuff. Hope you found this interesting, insightful, all that kind of good stuff. If you did, please be so kind as to leave us a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't. And by all means, come back and see us again real soon. We very much appreciate your kind support. Take care, everyone. And remember, dwarves rock.